Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I'm Joey Ricotta. Um, just riding solo tonight, and a little bit frustrated. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind the eight ball here, but yeah, it's a little bit late. Try to get out of here probably by like midnight Central Time, but the Cubs apparently wanted to get out of there a little bit quicker tonight, and just Shota, anyways, was not very good tonight. Cubs dropped 2 of 3 against the Mets, and now they have to get the job done against the Cardinals in the final regular season series of the season, just to solidify the NL wild card, first spot in the NL wild card. Make sure they have home advantage against the Padres, which that matchup is official, that they will face the Padres in the NL wild card now. So, but with that said, this is Cubs on Tap. You can find us on X at Cubbies on Tap, Cubbies on Tap. I am at Joey Knows Nothing. Follow all the content at ontapsportsnet.com to get all your Chicago sports content needs and analysis over there. So, yeah, I guess let's just jump into it. So, very frustrating night. Shota just didn't have it again. And this is becoming a theme here. Obviously, the home run ball has been an issue. And I believe he's third most homers he's allowed now on the year. I saw Jake Irvin on the list. There's another guy there as well. But this is a problem. 2 more home runs allowed. And really, I thought when we get closer to the end of the year that this would start to clear up a little bit, the home run issue. Like when you start to get a little bit cooler weather, maybe the ball's not flying as much. And I mean, unfortunately, it hasn't cooled down that much. And maybe that's part of the issue, but he's missing spots, and he's missing spots over the middle, and he's letting base runners on now and giving up, home runs that are not just solo shots. This wasn't so much of an issue for him in the past when he's been able to pinpoint his stuff and then work himself, work through it and just give up a solo shot here and there. Tonight he gave up the solo shot in the third to Lindor, and then he gave up the 3-run bomb to Brett Beatty in the 4th inning. So, but the first inning, started out started out bad as well. That 2-0 deficit right off the jump. Really, really, just not a good start here. Appreciate anyone jumping in here. Everyone that's here right now. Hank says a sweep of the Redbirds would hit the spot. I agree with that. Sweep would definitely just make sure that you don't have to worry about anything. Of course, the magic number is still 2. They're 2 games up on the Padres, and we'll get into what the Cubs need to do here. Realistically, if they win one tomorrow on Friday, or if you're listening to this on Friday, if they win on Friday and the Padres lose, then that's it. That's all she wrote, because it's 1 win and 1 loss, and that would get the job done. But there's still a real possibility that the Cubs don't have that number 1 wild card spot now. And I can't believe I'm saying this, that they left this to the last series of the year. It's kind of ridiculous. Tony says, is that a real plant or fake? That is not a real plant. No, it's not a real plant. We have had real plants in that same thing, but it is not a real plant. But anyways, I had to double check that because we have. You could tell I don't do the setups around here all the time, or really that much at all. I just kind of like listen and just, yeah, that looks good. But anyways, yeah, back to the game here. The first inning was just, I mean, there's that weird rule, right? So let's talk about the rule. They were showing it on Marquee there. Somebody had tweeted the Marquee account, I believe, and talked about what that was with the Dansby pop-up. So there's runner on third base, and you've got little pop-up there. Matt Shaw is calling the ball, and it's a tough play. It's a really tough play. Matt Shaw is calling it, and then Dansby, he does have that angle coming from shortstop, but it was a weird play as it is because Shaw falls down. They kind of bump into each other, and then Dansby makes the catch, falls into the bleachers, like barrels over the brick, falls into the bleachers, throws it back into play, tosses it to Matt Shaw. Shaw gets it, fires it home, gets the guy out seemingly at home. It was a great play from once everything happened, from the catch to the flip to the throw home, and you're like, oh my God, what a play. But that rule there, and it says here, if a fielder, after having made a legal catch, should step or fall into any out of play area, the ball is dead, and each runner shall advance one base without liability to be put out. So, I mean, so they changed the call. Obviously, they said it was not. I mean, the catch counts, but the runners are awarded a base and the run scores. And to me, I don't have an issue with that. They didn't get it wrong, and then Boog and JD were saying that on the broadcast. They didn't get the call wrong, and I understand that completely. I have a big issue with the rule there. Like, why are you punishing? And I even made a video earlier. Why are you punishing the player for making a good play? Like, if you're going to make a good catch, and whether he should have been the one to make the catch or not, because they ran into each other and he still caught it, and Shaw was calling it as well. You can go back and forth on that. That's kind of a dumb play, that there was miscommunication there to begin with. But the fact that he caught the ball, fell into the stands, and then he had possession of the ball. I don't care where the possession of the ball was or where he ended up. If he still has it and he comes back into play and throws into play, why would you punish the guy for that? I don't really see what the logic is, like what prompted this rule, because I could see if it's an overthrow and it goes into the crowd, or it can, go into the dugout or something like that out of play, you reward the guy a base. So that's a fielder error. That's an actual fielder error, or something that shouldn't have happened. In this case, he went to where the ball was hit and it took him into the crowd, or into, out of play. Why you punish the player for that? I don't understand the rule, and I think they should really look into that rule and adjust that moving forward. But that's obviously, it's sour grapes now, looking at it from a Cubs fan standpoint, where it sucked that you gave up the run in that situation too. But I just don't know why that rule exists to begin with. Daniel Barry, happy Thursday. Hello guys, happy Thursday to you, my friend. Appreciate you jumping in. And so Cubs down 2-0 right off the jump in the first, and then you move a little bit further ahead. The Cubs are down 6-0 going into the bottom of the fourth, after Shota struggles again there. And like I said, he gave up 2 home runs tonight, Francisco Lindor and Brett Beatty, and that was pretty much it. I mean, you can't go into that much of a hole. The offense actually showed up tonight, and it's an 8-5 game. Final is what the final score was, but home runs by Dansby, a couple of bombs from Seiya. We're going to talk about Seiya in a second. Some really good defensive plays too at certain points, like PCA's play out in right center field. Tremendous play. That's one of the best plays you'll see out there from a center fielder, and he's one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. So that was fantastic. And then Ian Happ's diving catch down the left field line. But it's a shitty way to end the season here. Like, you went into, after clinching, then we're going to talk about the other 2 games in this series too, because they did lose 2 of 3, which is a terrible time to be losing 2 of 3 right now. It's not like the Padres are scorching hot either. I mean, I don't understand it. Your magic number has been very little for a while now after you clinched a playoff spot. The fact that you haven't clinched that number 1 wild card seed since clinching is crazy. You went into a coma against the Reds, got completely your doors blown off against the Reds. Come into this series, I thought after last night, a big victory. The offense has really been fine this series. It's been good. But I thought that the momentum might carry into tonight a little bit, and offensively it seemed like it did, but man, you need better out of Shota. And do you trust him going into a playoff series now? I think that's the big question, is like, can you afford to give up the home runs that he's been allowing, or just the guys on base as well? He just hasn't been sharp. He's been leaving it over the middle. That fastball has been getting completely hammered. which is weird because his fastball has always been that super deceiving pitch. And I know they're talking about like, well, missed spots. He can definitely give up home runs in the past. Yeah, that's true. But there's a lot of times where guys swing through it because it's so deceiving. And it just has it's the movement on that pitch is different than most people's fastballs. And sometimes it looks like it's faster than it really is. But I don't know if the spin is a little bit different here lately. Like I haven't dove into all that. And I'd be kind of curious to see what that looks like. But something is not right here lately for Shota, with it getting worse and worse. So yeah, that was tonight's game. That happened. Tonight happened. I do want to talk about Seiya Suzuki though, and I actually even did put out a tweet earlier before the game. Seiya had not hit a home run since August 6th, and that's the only one he's hit since July 19th. So he has one home run coming into this game since July 19th, and he has 27 homers on the season coming into tonight. So that's just wild. You can think about 26 of his home runs before July 19th, and that's where he's at on the season. I mean, he still has a chance now to get to 30 homers with the 2 homers tonight, but I think he was starting to feel a little bit of pressure, and he's looked pretty good this series, but I think he was starting to feel a little bit of pressure from Mo Baller, because he needs to go on a heater, I think, to make sure that he's locked into at least a DH role or right field, and then Kyle Tucker playing DH. Because his spot in the playoffs, as far as starting regularly, is not guaranteed the way that Mo Baller has been hitting. And, another a good series from him as well. So, but tonight, I mean, just absolutely crushed a couple balls. And, I said that in my tweet that I think he needs to go on a heater and feeling pressure. And so I said, I'm putting a little bet on him to go yard tonight, plus 600. Bang! Hits 2 of them. I should have put more on it, though. I didn't put that much on it. I put a little $5 bill on it. And so I didn't really get the super nice payout that you'd be looking for from a plus 600 bet. But still, that's fine. I'm cool with it. I'm just happy that it's happening, and hopefully he can continue this power production going into the playoffs too, because we desperately need. I mean, look, maybe we don't need Seiya when we have Moises, but like Seiya's the veteran here in this situation, and I still think having that guy that can kill lefties as well too. I do think you need it, and he definitely has that power potential. So if he could tap back into that, yeah, I think that is huge. So Hank says here, having Shota come out to give up 2 more runs in the 6th inning was really deflating. He clearly didn't have it tonight. Obvious to everyone except Counsell. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why. Not quite sure why. I can't really defend that. I don't really understand it either. So the only thing I can think is they just didn't want to go too deep into the bullpen. After having to go into the bullpen earlier in the series too, as well, with Cade Horton. And you have been burning the bullpen a little bit. You're not going to have a day off, obviously, before this next 3-game series. And then you have 1 day off, and then you have the wild card starting. And so that's the only thing I can kind of think of there. But still, I mean, like, you're putting a lot of, hey, we need to win these games now against the Cardinals. Like, now it's actually really important. It didn't have to be like this. And I don't know. You could have definitely made the argument that he probably shouldn't have came back out there. I would agree with that, Hank. But looking at the rest of the series too, I mean, you got we got Cade Horton news to talk about. We got Kyle Tucker to talk about as well, as he's going to return tomorrow against the Cardinals. But you lost 9-7 on Tuesday, so a pretty good offensive performance, obviously. Cade Horton pulled 3 innings, 29 pitches he was pulled with back tightness, which turned out to be, his ribs were the main issue after MRIs and everything. But Craig Counsell says right now, Cade is a go. Says Horton is on track still, but there are some areas of concern in the rib area. We'll continue to get info and have more docs look at the MRI. No more tests will be run. He's expected to throw tomorrow after taking 2 days off. And that was before the game today when those comments came out. And tomorrow being Friday, he's expected to throw, I guess, a bullpen session. So that would mean he's going to pitch Sunday because everything lines up. And yeah, so he would pitch Sunday if everything's good. I don't understand though, like what the no more tests will be run and on track still, but there's areas of concern in the rib area and continue to get info and have more docs look at it. Like that's something doesn't sound right to me with the rib. And I'm just hoping that if he can pitch, that he can pitch effectively now after that. Because anytime you hear that, and you don't want to screw him up either. I mean, this is a guy that should be a starter in your rotation, an ace level pitcher that he's pitched like this year in your rotation for years to come. So you really don't want to. It's a dangerous line that you're going with. Yeah, I don't get it. Tony's asking, what is the best case scenario for Horton? I mean, best case scenario is he feels better and just he can power through whatever the pain is or the areas of concern are. And maybe it's just a pain tolerance type of thing at this point. And then whatever the real issue is there or kind of areas of concern that they would say when looking at the MRI, maybe they can address that more in the offseason. And he said that they said he heard it coughing. Yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, I know like back stuff, you know, you hurt your back sneezing. I remember Sammy Sosa hurting his back sneezing, which was crazy. But stuff like that, I don't know, maybe it just tenses up when you're coughing. I don't know. I mean, Dr. Joseph, hey, funny story though, Tony. There is or not funny story, but like when I Google my name, I do actually find a Dr. Joseph Ricotta. So there is one out there. It's not me, but there is one out there. I wish it was me. Wish I had his bank account. But neither here nor there. Seiya Suzuki should have given me that bank account if I would have put more money on it. But anyways, yeah, so 9-7 the Cubs lose after Cade Horton got pulled and the bullpen couldn't hold a 6-1 lead because the offense really came out and mashed on Tuesday. I mean, they were all over it. But yeah, it sucks when you lose your starter that early in the game and then those things happen. You can't rely on the bullpen for that long. Wednesday's game, the Cubs won 10-3, and Matthew Boyd looks pretty solid. 5 1/3. Gave up a 2-run shot to Alvarez there in the 5th inning, which was all he gave up in the game. And so some signs of life there for Matthew Boyd, who's going to have to make a start here in the postseason. It looks like I have no idea what they're going to do with this rotation come the wild card series, but that's a guy who's been there for you all season long, leading up to this. I would say to the second half, we've had a lot of struggles. He's had a lot of struggles. Maybe some burnout. Obviously, this is more pitches than he's thrown in quite a few years, and he's got injury history. So there's a lot of mileage there, and not having the mileage over the last few years due to injury. So he's probably a little bit gassed, leading to the missed spots and everything and getting hit. But I would say that was at least a positive sign to see him pitch well on Wednesday. And Ballesteros with a very nice game as well. Matthew Shaw, not Matthew Bush, and Michael Bush, those two guys, both homer, both had wonderful games. And yeah, insane play in that game by PCA2, taking 2 bags on the wild pitch from second base. He caught Clay Holmes snoozing, wasn't covering home plate. And he just said, okay, I'm just going to take home too. And came in diving, and then Clay Holmes dropped the ball from, I believe it was, Alvarez throwing it into him, covering home, even though he's late getting there. So, like, just a completely terrible play by Clay Holmes. But PCA, just the heads up, the electricity to make that play happen. And yeah, those that's the fun stuff that you love to see from PCA. That's what makes us as fans get so enamored with PCA. If you're wondering why people love PCA, it's plays like that, and it's plays like the play that he made tonight in the right center field gap, that diving catch. So yeah, Wednesday 10-3 tonight, of course, lost 8-5. So you dropped 2 of 3 to another wild card team in the Mets. And yeah, I just don't know. This pitching staff is the biggest concern now. All of a sudden, it's so crazy how this year has went. It's been amazing hitting, no hitting, great pitching, and questionable pitching to begin the year, and then so much of a funk hitting and great pitching carrying us for a while, and then now the hitting is hitting. The hitters are hitting, and the pitching is letting us down now. So it's like, can we sync them up, please? Can we sync up the two just at one point in the season where both are completely synced up and go on a run? And I mean, it just feels like to me they're limping into the playoffs. You can see it right there on my handle there or whatever, looking at the screen, but limping into the playoffs. That's exactly what they're doing. And this is just, anything can happen. You're in a 3-game series. Of course, you can beat anybody. And so I don't want to say it's like, oh, well, the way they're playing, they're definitely going to get swept out of the playoffs. Who knows? We've seen Colin Ray recently step up with a 7-inning, 11 strikeout career high game. So are there performances like that in the cards? Yeah, possibly. And he's pitching against the Cards tomorrow. So nice little play on words there. I wasn't even trying to do that. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like the Padres, what sucks here is too, they own the head-to-head, or they own the tiebreaker, because the way that you look at this, if they were a tie, they're 2 games back of the Cubs, and head-to-head comes first, of course. Both teams split 3-3, and they each had 25 runs for and 25 runs against in those games. So that's a complete wash, like right down the middle. That's wild. Second, you would look at then after that was intra-division records, and as of now, the Cubs are 27-22 versus the NL Central. If my math was mathing, I went through and was just counting all these games on Baseball Reference. Padres 29-20 versus the NL West. So, I mean, no matter what happens probably in this next series, I mean, the Cubs are not going to have that one. So that the Padres would own the tiebreaker against the Cubs. And if they were still tied then at that point, they'd look at intra-league record versus NL opponents, and then they would look at the last half of intra-league games record is how they would break that down for the tiebreakers. But yeah, the Padres would own the tiebreaker if this somehow turns into a tie situation after this weekend. And I guess we're just kind of praying for the best, hoping for the best as Cubs fans. But I think you need to win at least one and hope the Padres don't sweep. But really, they just need to take 2. And if they do that, they're locked in as the number 1 wild card team. It's 2 wins or 2 Padres losses still with the magic number of 2. And that could even be done tomorrow. I mean, you win, take care of business tomorrow. Colin Ray versus Miles Michaelis, and the Padres lose. That's it. You're the number 1 seed, and you got home field advantage at Wrigley for this next week. And I mean, that is just going to be so huge and important. It really is important. You don't want to be playing in San Diego. Tough place to play, and they've obviously have a lot more playoff experience than the Cubs recently. And it's a team I don't want to face really at all in the playoffs. You look at that bullpen, and they've got some complete mashers in that lineup. So it's going to be tough. There's no way around it. And looking at some of the right-handed hitters that they have in their lineup too, you throw out somebody like Shota, who's been giving up a bunch of bombs. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Could be interesting, but With that said, definitely want to talk about Kyle Tucker's return tomorrow. I'm hoping that maybe that can bring like a little bit of a spark to the team. And obviously, it's not the offensive spark. Like, well, he would provide an offensive spark that comes in hitting. But I mean, the offense has actually been doing pretty decently here lately. So I don't want to say like, oh, it's a guy that they right at this moment need. You obviously need him to make a deep run in the postseason. But maybe even it just uplifts the team in general because right now the pitching that's let them down. I don't know, man. Like that's a morale thing too. When that sort of stuff starts happening, it's a morale. It's a deflator, and I just hope that maybe Kyle Tucker can be that, spark as they start, seeing him back in the lineup. Who knows? I don't know. Obviously, it's great to have him back, and hopefully he can hit the way that he was starting to hit there for a while before getting hurt. And that was another interesting situation, going to get help from doctors, like flying somewhere else when, it's stagnant, it's plateaued, his rehab, like that whole situation, another injury situation where it's like, what are they talking about? What are they telling you exactly? Like you just question everything that the Cubs have been saying this year about injuries. And it's like you can kind of feel good about certain things, and then they make you in the same sentence, they'll make you feel bad about it or just question it. And it's like, is Kyle Tucker going to be 100% when we see him tomorrow return to the lineup? I hope so. That's all I can say is because Kyle Tucker can definitely take your lineup to the next level, as we've seen, especially the first half of the season. So yeah, that'll be big tomorrow. Something to watch for. See how he does. Yeah, we talked about Seiya Suzuki. I mean, right now there's guys that are getting hot all over the place. I mean, Ian Happ had another double tonight by Esteros. They're coming up with some pretty timely hits when they need to, and just tacking on runs, and not going into severe droughts. And that's what you need to see from this team, because when they struggle, they're overly reliant on the long ball, and they're also not coming through in those clutch, not getting enough guys on base when they're struggling either. I mean, the whole lineup will get into I'm not saying anything that's unheard of really for any team. I guess that's when your offense struggles, that's how it struggles. You don't get guys on base, you don't get timely hits, you're not hitting home runs. But for a long time this year, they were it felt like home run dependent. And now it's good to see them be able to get runs in other ways too, with the doubles, and starting to bring that back a little bit, like a lot of the first half was. So obviously the 3 home runs tonight will help, but getting it done a few different ways now, which is good to see, because you might need some of that small ball, especially come October and late September, which we are already in. But I guess next week, that's pretty much bottom line. Yeah, it's a few days away. So with that said, looking ahead to this Cardinals series, Colin Ray versus Miles Michaelis tomorrow, 1:20 start. Michaelis, the last time he pitched against the Cubs, only time he pitched against the Cubs this year, he went 6 innings, 10 hits, 8 earned runs, and that was, of course, the Cubs, the 4th of July game where the Cubs set a new franchise record, hit 8 home runs. He gave up 6 himself. So let's do that again. That'd be nice. Let's do that again. Colin Ray, and if he can keep building off of, he was really good here recently. So if he can keep building off that, put the Cardinals down, that'd be a great one to get out of the way. 120 at Wrigley, can't beat it. Last Friday, 120 of the season, and yeah, that'd be incredible to get off a good start. Saturday, it looks like, now I don't really know what the Cardinals reports are as far as like who's starting this series, but if I was doing time it out, like what their rotation lining up as, I think it would be a Matthew Liberatore versus Jameson Taillon, who Taillon was announced for Saturday. Liberatore has 2 starts versus the Cubs this year with a flat 3 ERA against us. So, and then Sunday, I mean, it sounds like possibly Horton. He's in line. He's good to go apparently, but we'll see. He's throwing tomorrow. I mean, that's a TBA. That's still to be announced, I think, on Sunday. And then sounds like probably Michael McGreevy for the Cardinals. And first time the Cubs got to him for 5 runs, and he didn't make it through 5 innings. But the last time he went 6 shutout innings. So let's do more like the first time there. That would be nice. Take care of business. Take care of business. That's all I can ask. Just got to take care of business, because this is the starting pitching and bullpen, really. Not as concerned about the bullpen. I think if you don't have a guy that can make a start in the playoffs and get you somewhat deep, you're screwed. That's the bottom line. You're screwed. And I don't know who gets the ball in that first game if Cade Horton's not Cade Horton. If he's not healthy or if he can't pitch. And do you go with Shota? Do you go with Boyd? Is Jameson Taillon back on the table now? For a while, it was well, he's not going to be one of the 3 starters. And then now recently it's well, Taillon's been turning it on a little bit. He's been turning it up again after coming back from injury. So, I mean, is Colin Ray in the mix? We'll see what he does tomorrow. Maybe he's pushing for one of those playoff starts. I don't know, man. A lot of decisions need to be made for the Cubs. I don't think – one thing I do want to say is there's no way you can leave Moises Ballesteros off that roster. He's starting every day right now. I mean, he's definitely locked into the NL wildcard roster, whether Kyle Tucker is there or not, whether it's him starting over Seiya or not. He's on the roster, and he's going to have some at-bats in the postseason. I guarantee that, because he's playing too well not to be. But yeah, with that said, I want to remind everybody that you can follow us on X at Cubbies on Tap, CUBBIES on Tap. I am at Joey Knows Nothing. Follow the main account at OnTap Sportsnet, and go to ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports needs. Bears, Bulls, Bears. Wow, Bears. What did they do this last week? What just happened? I wasn't expecting that. I know the Cowboys defense is bad, but yeah, looking damn good. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, even the White Sox, golf. Bunch of content over there at ontapsportsnet.com. And yeah, with that said, best time to say this: fly the W this weekend, hopefully, because you couldn't do it tonight. And fuck the Cardinals. And let's go Cubbies.